Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the APEC Technical Session Speaker Training. My name is Catalina DeMasi, and I work with the APEC Organizing Committee alongside my colleagues Nate Nauer and Stephen Holtzman to put together some of the logistics side of APEC 2026. Just for your awareness, we are recording this training so that people who are unable to participate can view the recording at a later date. I'm now going to turn the conversation over to the technical session chairs, Dalal and Deepak Vareddy, to present to you all today on manuscript submission.
Thank you very much, Catalina, and good morning or good evening. Welcome to all of you. This session is going to provide information regarding your paper submission for APEC 2026. So I want to start with congratulations to all of you for acceptance of your papers to APEC 2026. And we hope that you will bring good quality research to APEC, and that will help APEC in terms of gaining its reputation and also provide a good outlet for your research. So as Catalina mentioned, my name is Dalal. I'm the program chair for APEC 2026. And Deepak Vareddy, he's from Infineon, and he's an assistant program chair. And we will be talking about various things during this morning, but mainly focusing on your manuscript submission. So the agenda for today is we're going to have some introduction on terminology and purpose. Then we'll walk you through the manuscript submission process in detail. We'll give you a kind of overview or preview of the presentation file submission process, which will come later in the phase. And we'll cover some of the common questions and end with Q&A. Before I get into details of the manuscript submission, I want to recognize a number of people who actually helped put together APEC. These are the professional people from a company called MMS, as Catalina, Nate, Katia, Rebecca, and Stephen. And then many of you probably interacted with Tom Werner. He's at ePapers, and your manuscript, your digest and manuscript submission is handled by ePapers. Everything after that is handled by MMS. And the role of this team is to make your APEC experience as smooth as possible. And they do a lot of work behind the scenes to make that experience smooth by making the systems very easy to work with, putting together material on the APEC website or on their websites. And essentially, their work can be proactive or reactive. And we want a lot of that to be proactive. But if at the end of it, if you still have questions and you want those answers, you can definitely reach out to them. They're very responsive there also. So manuscript-related questions, go to apec@epapers.org. And then any other questions related to presentation at APEC will go to this email address, speakers@apecconf.org. So I also want to touch on two different portals that you have to deal with as a author and a presenter. The first portal is for manuscript submission, which is ePapers portal. You already have used it, and this will be available till mid-December, where you will submit your manuscript. There is only access to one person per paper, and that's typically the contact person who has already has a login access, and that person will go in and provide the submission or provide the put in the submission. If you have any questions, you can go to this epapers.org email. Today's session will go through details of this manuscript submission, so hopefully any of your questions can be clarified. The next phase that will be activated in mid-December is the presentation file submission portal or speaker portal. Catalina, I'm hearing some background noise. Can you mute if you're able to?
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't get your car or anything. It's not at the hospital.
Are you able to mute other attendees, Catalina?
Okay.
So walk out the front door, go west.
Thanks.
It's
Yeah.
a straight building and it's
Okay.
to that street.
So presentation file submission portal, as I said, will be available in mid-December. All the co-authors will have access to this portal, and you will use that for presentation file submission, be it lecture or dialogue session, poster or presentation file. Also, all the co-authors can upload their bios and photos so that attendees can get to know you better. Okay, when we talk about APEC submissions or when we're writing a paper, we tend to use paper as a generic term, which is fine in most cases. But when we get to actual submission process, we use more specific terms for each phase. So there are 3 phases, as you all know. First is the digest submission. Second is the manuscript submission. And third is the presentation file submission. Obviously, you all completed the digest submission, and we selected you based on that. And as you probably recognize, there's a less rigid format for digest submission, and process is simpler. Now we are in the manuscript submission phase. It is definitely much more rigorous. So you need to be prepared to spend more time in the submission process, and we'll walk you through different steps there, but don't start at the last minute. Also, one thing to remember is that there is no built-in automatic extension at APEC for manuscript submission. Okay, I want to be very clear about this. Many people are used to other conferences providing extensions for the submission. APEC does not provide that, so please plan accordingly. And then the presentation submission will be enabled in mid-December, as I mentioned. Your deadline for submission is February 2026. And there will be another training on the presentation file submission 1 month before that deadline. So that will be on January 20. I want to reiterate the manuscript submission deadline is December 8th. Okay, so we'll start with some guidance on manuscript preparation. I think it's important to recognize that it is in the best interest of yourself as an author or a presenter, as well as APEC, to have a very high quality manuscript. I think we all recognize that the purpose of publishing is to further your research and help other people in the community to start building from your research. So the way to get there is a good manuscript. And it can also open avenues for more research and exploration. And while it's not a rocket science to write a good manuscript, but it also requires some preparation and upfront work. And we want all of you to put in that work. You need to start early. Don't put it off till late. First step is to ensure that your results are completely validated. And then, because unless you have, solid results, the paper will not have as much value. You also need to organize your paper for easy readability. Make sure figures and tables are clearly depicting what your results are. Of course, you can use AI tools for proofreading and some other cleanup, but do not use AI tools for the content enhancement. I think we don't want authors to compromise their content by using the tools, and then that can also have some negative consequences. Also, many of the papers require either internal or external approvals, and it is your responsibility to make sure those approvals are obtained by the time of your manuscript submission deadline. So you cannot put off this process till very late because that can compromise your ability to submit the manuscript in a timely fashion. Another important thing is that you have to recognize all the contributors to your work, either through nominating them as co-authors or in the acknowledgements. And also it's equally important not to just add more contributors just for the sake of it, right? So you need to get that balance right. Also, finally, you need to identify who is going to present your paper at APEC. It's not just sufficient to write a paper. You need to come in and, in person and present that paper. So as you are going through the submission process, you'll have to provide the presenter name, and I'll cover that later. We do recognize that there are some challenges in the current climate where there may be visa challenges for the overseas presenters. We recommend strongly that you just start that process early because if you encounter any problem in that process, you have time to find alternatives. We want to emphasize that if the paper is not presented in person, it will be considered withdrawn. It will not show up on IEEE Explore, and it can have negative future consequences. So do plan for backups. In your organization or your co-authors who can provide that backup in case you cannot travel. So these are some more details. I will not spend too much time on this. This is just talking about the format for your manuscript. In fact, there are templates already available on APEC website, and we hope you're already using them. So they will cover that, but this is just some details of what expectations are from your PDF. Most important is to make sure that your manuscript is IEEE Explore compliant by using this PDF Express. Okay, there are two more areas which require special attention. One of them is what we call self and cross citation check. This is a relatively new step. It started last year and it will continue going forward. And this is an attempt by IEEE and other organizations to weed out practice of very heavy kind of citation, self-citation or cross-citation and padding your citation counts. And the definitions are fairly simple. The self-citation is when you reference your own paper in your work. It's not wrong to do it, but it's wrong to do it excessively. Similarly, cross-citation is when an author repeatedly cites somebody else, another group or another author. And again, you have to do it, but you can't do it excessively. So we have set a kind of threshold of 25%. So if we recognize, we note that your paper contains excessive self or cross citation higher than 25%, we'll ask you to revise your citations so that it doesn't cross that number. You will be required to self-report these numbers at the time of your manuscript submission, and I'll show you where to do it. Okay, the next part is plagiarism check, and I recognize that plagiarism is a very strong word, and I don't think anybody sets out to, at least in this type of context, there's no intentional plagiarism, but really what it means is that all your submissions will go through a cross-check process using a tool called Authenticate that's shown here. And that tool will generate a cross-check score. So you can see here in this left side, we've cut out the actual paper, but we as a program team will see this cross-check scores for every paper that's submitted, every manuscript that's submitted. And if it's higher than, that percentage is higher than a certain number, we will investigate it further. And when we find an issue with it, we will go back to you as authors and we'll ask you to revise and resubmit. And you'll have a very short window, 1 week, to respond to that request. But the best option, and this shows you how that that tool actually identifies different cross references where it's excessively used and so forth. The best way to actually avoid getting into this type of situation is being proactive. Uh, when you are, I mean, it's okay to use your prior work as a starting point for your work that you're presenting at APEC, but it doesn't mean you just simply copy and paste material from your earlier publications. Also, if you do use the material, whatever material you use, you need to cite it so that it does not get caught in that. Without citation, if you are using some material, that also is considered wrong. And then also then you may have access to some of the tools like this, depending on your organization, and you can take those advantage of those tools. But this is an important part, and we definitely want to make sure that all APEC publications are free of this kind of concerns. Okay, so the next one is your, just overview of the manuscript submission process. Again, I want to reemphasize the deadline is December 8th. There are no extensions provided. Before you submit your manuscript, you will have to go through registration because without registration, you cannot submit your manuscript. So spend time, if you have to get approvals or whatever you need to do, make sure you get it done. You also need to submit an IEEE copyright form. It's, all of us tend to take signing a form very lightly, but it's important to pay attention because it really means that you're signing up that whatever you're presenting or submitting is your original work, and also implies that all consents and approvals are obtained. Okay, so do that, but do it with some level of attention. Okay, and we do get these questions. Okay, no extensions. So can we make some exceptions? Our first answer is no, and there is a reason for that, and especially this year. So pay attention to this table on the bottom here. We made significant changes from last year or previous APEX to this year, and that should help you as authors in the submission process. So you can look at the time between the notification when your acceptance notification was sent and your submission deadline. Last year, you had about 38 days between the two. This year, you have 55 days. That's significant extra time. In other words, if you had the same number of days as last year, tomorrow would be the deadline for submission this year. So since we are giving you extra days, use that time to address any contingencies. We do understand that there may be contingencies you have, but we are asking you to use this extra time yourself to address the contingencies and not come back to us closer to this December 8 and say, I have this problem, so I need extension. So please be mindful of that. If there are really exceptional cases, we will consider that, but that's going to be discretion of the program committee. We don't guarantee anything. Another thing to keep in mind, as I said initially, we have a very strong support team for APEC, but they have actually what we have done is the way we've extended this time submission window is actually stealing away time from what they need to do after you submit the paper. And so if you are asking for exception or extension, it's going to disrupt the flow of the conference and may actually disrupt the attendee experience. So we strongly encourage you to fulfill your obligation of submitting by December 8th. And if you do not submit it, that is considered withdrawal. And withdrawal means no publication in IEEE Explore. And we also are maintaining a list of people who withdraw without cause, and that will have potential future negative consequences.
The wall. Maybe we
Yeah,
can take a quick pause. There are a couple
yeah,
of questions on the chat
yeah,
here. I will read the
sure.
questions for everyone.
Yeah.
So, first question is, what is the threshold for plagiarism check?
Yeah, that's a good question. We typically, there is the Authenticate tool has different buttons. Let me go back there. Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah. So you can see here, red is a problem. I think the threshold is 30% from what I remember. Above 30% is considered red. So that's mine. That's what I recollect. Yeah.
Thanks. The next question is, can you please explain what does the self-citation mean? Does this counted as a self-citation if I cite a paper that have only one mutual author between my APEC paper and that paper, although that mutual author isn't the first position author?
Yeah, we would still count any repeating author as a self-citation, even if it's not the lead author. But it's again, if that is a case, we will consider that as an as we will understand that if it's another author who is not the lead author, we will address it as needed. But try to make sure that at least initially the count is not too high. And if you still have to have more, more citations of the same author, then you can also send a note saying this is the case, and we'll consider it. Yeah.
Okay. One more question just came
Yeah.
up. Would it be possible that two of the authors jointly present a paper? The answer is no, right?
The answer is no. We have very short time for presentation, so we cannot have that supported. We have to have only one presenter.
Okay. Yeah. Can
Okay,
continue.
thanks. Yeah. All right. So this is now a step-by-step process, how to go through your submission process. So think of it as you start with filling out this form here. These are the what we call author questions. And the way you do it is by clicking on this icon here. There's a green pencil button. That is the edit button. And then it pops up this window. This is where you provide the reference count, total number of references, then how many of the same authors are authored or co-authored by the authors of this paper, right? So it does count everything that addresses the question that was asked earlier. We also have the group reference count, and then you also need to provide the name of the person presenting this work. Okay, this is an important first step. Then you go on to your submission steps. So steps 2 is registration. Obviously, you will not be able to upload the file till you have registration. So first you click on this button. It will ask you to input the 4-digit upload code that you will receive from the registration confirmation email. And then once you enter that, you will have this upload button enabled. And you click on the upload, and that will allow you to input the PDF. Okay. The good news is that even though you submit that, that's not necessarily final. Until the submission and site closure, which is December 8th, you have the opportunity to update it, right? So my recommendation is that as long as you're close enough to your final version, go through this process just so that you don't have any surprises. Go through the submission, and then if you still need to do minor tweaks, you have that opportunity till December 8th. Okay. Okay. Once you submit the manuscript, for most of you, that will be the final time you will use the e-papers. But as I mentioned, there are two checks that we will perform after your submission. These are related to the self or cross citation or the cross check score. So if you have any issues related to that, you will be contacted by the program committee after that submission window, and you'll be required to resolve these issues within a very short time window to ensure publication. Okay, so be available, first of all, make sure that you don't get into this situation, because that saves work for everybody. But if you have to respond to that, be available and respond in a quick fashion. It's important. Okay, so that completes the manuscript submission, and that's really was going to be the main focus of today's presentation. What I'm going to do is just briefly give you a preview of the uh, process. And I think there's a poll that has just popped up, so maybe you can also try to answer that. But the next step will be the speaker portal, which you will get login credentials in email in mid-December. And this will go to all the co-authors, not just the main author, first author. You can provide your bio, picture, and set up your profile. You download the presentation file templates from the APEC website, and then use those templates to submit your final presentation by February 20, 2026. We will have a training for this portal on January 20, 2026.
Dhaval, let's take another pause here.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
plenty of questions on the chat. So I'll
okay,
read the questions one by one.
yeah, yeah.
So would it be an issue if the full paper title is changed from the initial digest submission?
I believe not. Nate, do you know if that creates a concern from cadmium point of view?
From the speaker portal, point of view, it's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
However, the published paper and associated data, you do need to submit that as a change to the submission portal in e-papers. Because
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
going to be
Correct. Yeah.
it's not an issue on the event side, but for publishing, it is an issue that needs to be, you will need to make that update in the submission portal.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a very good question. I believe that this edit will allow you to do that, but we may need to check that with e-papers to make sure that your title can be changed. But I believe there is it is, I'm 90% confident that it is possible.
Yeah. The next question is on the citations
Yeah.
coming from different groups. So how to get accurate information, which authors belongs to which group? It will be hard to get an accurate number. As an example, BMW has a collaboration with TUM. BMW and TUM paper are in one group, but how to know all collaborations worldwide? It will be just rough guess. Can we go with a rough guess? I think
Yeah, I
that's the
think rough
question.
guess is fine. I think, again, this is more about being conscious and conscientious that you're doing the right thing. It's not about policing, right? It's about being conscientious that you're not proliferating this bad practice of self or cross citation. Yeah.
Okay, good. The next question is, if all the authors won't be able to attend APEC, can a third person present the author who is not on the author list?
Yes, in special cases, we can make that accommodation. Of course, then the question is, if you already know that to be the case, do you want to consider adding that person as the author because they are providing good support to you for your paper? That's something for you to consider. And also, we can still make them as a presenter. I think, again, I'll defer to Nate on logistics of that, but I think it's possible.
It is true that we could accommodate somebody who's going to be at APEC to present. As Deval said, if they are legitimately an author, again, you need to make sure that that change is made in the submission portal for the publishing purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up, once the manuscript is uploaded, will there be further screening on the paper?
So the screening will be related to the cross-check score and the citation score. So that will be immediately after your manuscript submission, and that will be done by the program committee, and then you will be contacted if we find any issues with that.
Okay. Next up, if an author I'm citing has research from multiple years that I want to cite to show the development of this field over the years, should I only share their recent work, or is there a way I can cite their work from past years without being counted against me?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question. And we do get into this tricky situation where you have a legitimate reason to cite one or two authors because you're leveraging their work more heavily than others. What I would recommend is that just be more selective rather than say just selecting the latest paper. You're present two choices, right? One is select the latest paper or select all their prior publications. So maybe choose a middle path where you're citing only 2 or 3 of those. And if your total citations number is large enough, then it will still not count as a very large percentage.
Okay. Next up, is the student full conference pass enough to submit my paper, or should I pay the full fee? I think I can take this one. It depends,
Yeah.
right? So if you're a student, yes, you can go with the student full conference. But if you're not a student, you'll have to pay the full fee, which is a
Yeah.
regular.
Yeah.
Next up, while submitting the digest, I was about to graduate. Now I'm working at an organization. Should I keep my current organization as affiliation or my university?
So you can, I think for the paper, it's a good practice to have your affiliation from where you did the work. That's typically how it's done. But when you upload your bio and other things on the APEC website, you can use your new affiliation.
Okay. Next up, is it allowed to change the title of the paper to better match the final content of the paper? I think
I think
yes,
we
it's
already
allowed.
discussed that.
Covered it,
It's
yeah.
allowed, yeah. And we may have, if you have any issues with that, you can send an email to apec@epapers.org, and they should be able to address that more effectively.
Okay. The next question is on the citations. Can you
Yeah.
cite a patent number?
Yes.
Yes. And last one, if we submit the manuscript by let's say December 1st, will I hear back about plagiarism, cross-check, etc. by December 8th as an example? If there are no issues, will we hear back or no?
If there are no issues, you will not hear back. Okay, so that's for sure. And it will depend on the workload of the program committee. So we cannot make any commitments at this point. We do have a lot of other activities in that time frame. So we will try to get to it as soon as possible because we want to also be able to get the whole process completed soon. But there is no committed timeline as of today.
Yeah, the usual guideline here is to keep your cross-check and plagiarism checks under 30%. That's the
Yeah,
guideline. As
yeah,
long
yeah,
as you keep that under that guideline, most likely you'll not hear from us.
yeah. I think last year we had probably less than 10 to 15 papers overall and each of categories. So it's not a high number and we don't want it to be a high number, right? So it's all self-policing, check before you submit, right?
Okay. One more question. Does APEC support after conference general paper submission?
No, APEC does not have a path to journal submission as of today. And I think some other conferences do, but APEC does not.
Okay. Can you cite an internal report as an example report that is not publicly disclosed? No, you cannot do that.
No.
That's answer. Yeah. One more. Can we change the registration if the presenter cannot travel?
So if a presenter cannot travel, that person is no longer a presenter, right? So that obviously you have to provide, but if you have already registered, then you don't need to change the registration. I think, and that this is a question more for MMS. I think that we've handled this kind of situations in the past, but I don't know the
Yeah,
mechanism.
I think we can transfer the registration to the
Yeah,
new presenter.
yeah,
If you have a backup that can
yeah,
present on your behalf, we can
yeah.
MMS can transfer the registration to the new
Okay,
presenter.
yeah, okay,
Okay, that's all. We can
all
continue,
right,
I think. Yeah.
okay. So I think we were here, right? So we covered this. And next steps I'll go through very quickly because really these are templates that are provided. We want you to follow them. And the important thing to remember is that we're not trying to restrict your ability to present by providing a very strict template. So it's very loose or free form, but we want to maintain certain level of professionalism and look and feel for the APEC presentations. So if you need to, you can slightly deviate from some of the guidelines, but keep it professional. There is a mandatory upload deadline. I think, again, I want to emphasize this is important for overall APEC experience because attendees, unlike many other conferences, which some of you may have been to, where authors are coming and providing the presentation to 5 minutes before the session starts. APEC actually requires this to be online because that enhances the attendee experience. Attendees can see them in the app or in their downloads, and then based on that, they can decide which sessions to attend. So again, if you want better attendance for your sessions or paper, this is the way to do it, and we are not, we will adhere to that. So, and also it allows the session chairs to review and provide feedback to you. In the past year, we've actually, earlier years, it used to be mandatory. Now we have taken off that mandatory requirement, but they can still provide feedback to enhance your presentation. And you should honor or respect that because session chairs are people with a lot of experience in your field, and they can definitely help you make a better presentation. Okay, and you will receive this email from this email address in mid-December, and that's where you'll sign in. You will have a final chance to update your presentation during the conference by visiting the speaker ready room. But we also encourage you to do that at least a day before your session so that it gets properly put in the system and there are no last-minute glitches. Okay, now we go through just overall template for the lecture sessions, which is, they're typically titled TXX.X. So you need to put in your presentation number here. You can put your organization logo here. Rest of it is clear. You have some guidelines on the time, number of slides. As technologists, we always want to present a lot of information, but you need to be mindful how much time it takes. I'll give you an example. I'm on my slide 18 and I'm already at 38 minutes, right? So if you have 20 minutes, think about, or 15 minutes to present, think about how many slides you can cover, right? So be truthful, be honest about how much you can cover and only include that much material. No additional logos, no confidential proprietary tags, all that. This is you need to have, this, I won't go through this. This is fairly simple, but if you follow the template, this is going to be fine. Color, we recommend no background color because it's easier to read that way. So white background, use the color. We recommend black text, but you can make some modifications if needed. But do not use light colors because they don't look good on white background. These are the font size requirements. Again, you need to be aware that this APEC rooms are very big, especially this year. They're very long and narrow, so there'll be a lot of people sitting all the way far in the back of the room if your session is popular, and you want to make sure that they're able to see your presentations well enough. So be mindful of that. And then your final slide can have your names and affiliations as well as contact information optional. This is the dialogue session template. Actually, the actual template is not landscape, so it will fill up the full size of the sheet. But you start with your problem statement, cover some of the previous work, describe your solution, describe your results, and summarize. This is just a general guideline. You can obviously modify as needed, but try to stick to it. Dialogue sessions, good posters encourage more interactions, and your goal should be to have more interactions during your dialogue sessions. We have also got a new section this year on APEC website. You go here and you can find frequently asked questions on different categories. We've captured some of the questions related to the speakers here, so you can read that. But really, the point is you need to register before you submit your manuscript. You cannot present virtually, and you cannot change your manuscript after you submit, after December 8th. Okay. New poll has popped up, so hopefully you will get some feedback on that. So I want to end with some final words. So once again, thank you for your participation at APEC 2026. Acceptance of your digest means that your work that you submitted has a lot of value to the power electronics community, and it gives you an opportunity to present that work in the most effective way. And we wanted you to make the most of this opportunity by following these steps. Prepare a good manuscript, submit it in a timely fashion. December 8th, remember that date. Preparing a good final presentation file, and then submit that also in a timely fashion. And attend APEC and present your research to the community. Of course, while you are at APEC, or even during next APEC, after your participation in APEC, you can expand your participation by volunteering as a reviewer for future APECs. There are multiple, if you're a student and presenting, there are multiple student programs at APEC, and APEC website will give you access to those. So, if you're an author, that's not the only role you will have. You can actually expand your role by doing a lot more things and soaking up the whole APEC atmosphere. And we welcome you to do that. Okay, that's it. We can take more questions, and good luck with your preparation.
Very good. I think we have 3 to 4 questions that are
Yeah.
unanswered. So let me start. First up is, can we add additional data to improve the repeatability of the experiments? I would like to attach Gerber files to my paper. Is this possible?
Not to the paper. What I would recommend, if you want to do that, is maybe if there is a place you are able to store that data, and I think you can probably add a link as in your paper. And then especially when you're presenting, you can probably generate a QR code for people to look at, and then they can go to that data source. That's probably the best way I would recommend.
So there is also another comment on this.
Yeah.
I think IEEE has a data port, and you can provide a link to that as a citation.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. I didn't know that. So that's good. Good clarification. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next question is, will there be time for poster presenters to visit other posters? How long will the poster session be?
Yeah, so the poster session, if I remember right, is 1.5 hours. Catalina, can you confirm? Is it 12 to 1:30 or 12? Yeah, 12 to 1:30, I think, right?
I believe it is 2 hours.
Or 2 hours? Okay, sorry, I'm wrong then. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is the recommendation is that if you have co-authors who are also attending, or other colleagues, maybe when you leave to see other posters, you leave the other person in charge, because so I think I should have said this, but there is a best poster for each session. There's a best paper award, and that applies to the poster sessions also. So poster sessions or dialogue sessions are broken up into different sessions, and each session will have an awarded best presentation, right? So there will be judges, or your session chairs will be visiting your poster at some point and asking you questions. So you need to be available, and we cannot tell you upfront what time they will visit. But yeah, if you leave somebody else in charge of your poster while you were visiting other posters, that's fine.
Yeah. Next question. How many were submitted, and how many of them were accepted?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We did have a good increase in the submissions for APEC 2026. We had somewhere above 850 submissions, 856, I think. And our acceptance rate, as you can imagine, if you have higher number of submissions, it did go down a little bit, but our total number of accepted papers is higher than last year. It's probably on par with probably pre-COVID years or somewhere in there. Not quite there, but we are on our path back. So we are upwards of 600 papers accepted, and we want to keep it there. So we encourage you to submit your manuscripts, and we don't want to reduce that number.
Okay. Next question, I'll take this one. When will be the student travel grants finalized? Also, if I'm only presenting the poster, I'm eligible for that grant. The first answer to that question is the travel grant finalization and communication is expected to go out on December 5th, which is a little over 2 weeks from now. And the second question, yes, if you are a student and if you're either presenting the poster or an oral presentation, you will be eligible to apply for that grant. Next question, is there limit for travel award? Like on Google, it shows only 60 based on the past APEC. Yes, again, I'll take this question. So from the history, the student travel grant committee has been issuing grants to up to 60 students, but that's the normal number. But this year we don't know if they want to stick to 60 or it may go up and low here and there. Yeah, but in general it's around 60. Next question. You have a few minutes left for this meeting as per your calendar. Learn more about. Okay, so this is from AI, I think. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. AI started asking questions. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everyone for your time and attention. Hopefully this helps you get better prepared for your submission process, and we look forward to seeing you all at APEC. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to those email addresses, and we'll do our best to help you answer those.
Okay. Again, last question, sorry. Who do we reach as we have questions, right? So as Dhaval explained, there are two emails that were provided in this slide set, and this slide deck will also be uploaded onto the APEC website, and you should be able to access those two emails from that slide deck. Yeah, these are the two emails. Okay, one more question that popped up just now. Can I include a QR code in the presentation that links to a website providing the complete gallery and full collection of raw measurement data and plots that do not fit into the presentation itself, where only the most relevant and representative data are shown?
I think the answer is yes. It's your choice. I mean, that's fine.
Okay. Good. For the copyright of paper in the footer section, where I can get that?
Sorry, I didn't understand the
I
question.
think they're referring to the footer section. I think you can get that for including the. I think the question is for including the copyright in the footer section. How do I do it? I think that's what the question is. I believe.
Oh,
It's not.
okay. So I think first of all, you have already, by you when you sign the IEEE copyright form, you're giving the copyright to IEEE, right? So you don't, just remember that. So IEEE, you're already assigning the copyright to IEEE.
Okay. Is it possible to change an oral presentation to a poster presentation?
The short answer is no. If you have extenuating circumstances, send an email with an explanation. And it is unlikely, but yeah, we can look at the reason why you want to change it. But because it is not easy to fill, we don't want a vacant slot in oral presentation. That's part of the attendee experience where people want to see full sessions presented. So if you withdraw from that, then that makes it difficult for the committee. But again, we are open to at least listening to your request.
Okay. I guess there are no more questions, Dhaval. We can close.
Okay. Once again, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll actually speak during the speaker training before meeting at APEC.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.